Hello everyone, this is Ken Quigley from Keystroke, and this webinar will be on the new release, very new as of last Tuesday, of the new ActAdvantage. We've got a lot to cover today, so please don't worry about taking notes or screenshots, as this event will be recorded and everyone registered will get the webinar recording link emailed to them tomorrow. Now, given the amount we've got to cover, and you'll soon discover how much, we may run a bit over this 60-minute schedule, so if you have to leave, we understand, but you'll have the recording to reference shortly. I would prefer to queue the questions and answers, or the questions to the end, but Vic will be monitoring the chat. Okay, everyone's muted and everyone's cameras are turned off, so please use the chat button that you see on your screen to submit any questions. Vic will interrupt me if need be, and we'll jump to those questions. Okay, so let's cover today's agenda. What is ActAdvantage? More than some of its parts. Then the next part is the new ActAdvantage features to be shown today. This isn't an exhaustive list, but it's quite long: calendar, web forms, events, quotes, surveys, chats, lists, URL shorteners, and accounting integration. And then finally, the ActAdvantage commercial details. You'll understand when we get into this why this requires a little bit more of a deeper dive to understand which tiers represent the best value. So, what is the new ActAdvantage? You can see the three tiers: standard, professional, and ultimate. ActAdvantage is comprised of 6 different parts. The foundation is Act Premium Cloud. The next part is marketing automation. I'm going to be showing you how those have been adjusted and distributed around the tiers for better value. The third is APC Mobile, now known as of last week as Act Mobile. And then we have accounting integration. I'll be demoing that. Custom tables is a component part. I will be showing you the commercial implications of custom tables, but I will not be showing you a demo. Custom tables have been around for years, so that isn't really something we can make time for. Okay, and then finally, Linktivity Suite. For anyone on this call that's not familiar, Linktivity Suite is a suite of applications that Keystroke built over the last 6 years, and we sold to Act at the beginning of this year. Okay, so let's get started. We'll visit gettheadvantage.net. Okay, so the first thing is I'm going to be referencing this page, gettheadvantage.net. If you want to just go to our website, you can click here and you'll see Act CRM, breaking news, and the advantage is right here. Okay, now you see this screen more than the sum of its parts. Each one of these sections are clickable and will bring you to more details on that. I'm not going to read anything or demo what you guys can click on your own, so please reference that, okay, on your own time. Okay, ActAdvantage, as I mentioned, is offered in 3 tiers: standard, professional, and ultimate. I think I've got right here. So standard, professional, and ultimate. So you can see the prices. $30, which is the same price as Act Premium Cloud, plus all the additional features at no extra cost. $45 or $540 a year, or $60 for $720 a year per user. So the first point is, if you like Act Premium Cloud, you will love ActAdvantage, as it includes all the APC benefits and price, but many more marketing, sales, and productivity tools than before. We'll get into that. For an additional $15 more per user, teams get individual access to the advanced tiers of a lot of the features I'll be showing you, 10 additional gigs of storage, a huge upgrade in eMarketing features and sends, project management, accounting integration, and 50% off Orange Care and custom table upgrades. And that's kind of how custom tables is relevant to this, is that it's included 50% off at this tier, and then in the ultimate tier, it's included free along with support. So the third tier for an additional $15 is the no compromise tier, and includes all the benefits of the pro tier, this one, plus enhanced support and custom tables, full marketing automation, double the sends and contact scans of the pro tier. That will make sense in a minute. It also includes $1,200 worth of a customer service portal and one extra AMA domain. Okay, so first thing that we're going to get to is we're going to jump into it, and we're going to go straight to the Act Premium Cloud. So this is my my instance of Act Advantage. If you haven't logged in the last couple of weeks, you're going to see a new, more modern layout. You're going to see that, you know, contacts, companies, and groups are now only occupying one menu item here. Calendars and task lists, pivoting here and here, are only accessing one navbar menu. You'll see marketing automation has been shortened to marketing. And then the last one here is the additional features, okay? Last one for the navbar. You'll see accounting up here, and we'll get into that in a minute. The additional features menu divides it into sales, marketing, and service. So let me just say up front, we're going to vary a little bit from that, because where we trifurcate all these different programs is into sales, marketing, and productivity. Okay, I just think that, you know, that division makes a little bit more sense when explaining all the different programs, and hopefully by the end of this webinar, it'll make sense to you too. Okay, that's the first thing. This is a demo database. Okay, so as I click into each one of these, it's only been in production for a week, so there is no real data, but I will be toggling back and forth between this menu and this menu from Linktivity, okay, so that you can actually see production data for each one of these. Seeing, you know, empty screens and things like that obviously isn't going to send you to your happy act place, but seeing what it will look like populated with data, I think will make a little bit more sense. Okay, so with that, let's get started, and we're going to start in the order that this is displayed and go with the first sales item, online appointment scheduling. Okay, now when we get into this, I've created one little thing here in terms of my personal calendar, but you can just, the group calendar is only is an advanced feature, so it's only available in the top two tiers of professional and ultimate. But so if you click on this and you're in the standard tier, it's not going to do anything. Actually, I don't even think it'll be displayed. But the personal calendar here is where you set up all your initial calendars. So this is enabling it. Here is where you're going to set the daily display versus weekly, the welcome dialogue. You're going to put in a picture, closing text, introductory text. All of that's going to make sense in a minute. And then here is your appointment details. Okay, so do you want to have 30-minute slots, meeting durations, what's the activity type, all of this info, and then what kind of information are you going to request? Okay, is it going to be name, subject, email? Generally, the smaller barrier to entry is going to make people more inclined to use it. Okay, but this is what the basic looks like. If we go over here and drill into my link to calendar, okay, and you look into my personal thing, now you're going to notice that there is some Linktivity branding here that has been stripped out as we're reskinning Act Advantage. This is an ongoing process, so you're going to see over the coming days and weeks some of these programs having this branding stripped away. Okay, so here is what mine looks like. You can see the logo of the text that I've done, but if I wanted to, you know, pivot over here and someone wanted to actually book an appointment with me, this is what it's going to look like. Okay, they're going to have the feature here. I'm going to click here. Okay, and they can book an appointment. Okay, standard thing. Here's the call type. They put in, here's where they have to put in their information. Now, the key thing to understand here is when you put your information in here and you put in your email, that's why there's a little asterisk here. The moment that you do that, it's going to search the database for a matching one. And if it doesn't find one, it will create a new contact. Okay, so that's one of the key parts of the integration. Over here is a group calendar. Now, the group calendar is a feature of the advanced link to calendar. Okay, now this is taking a minute because it's retrieving a lot of people's calendar. So this particular one, as you can see from the image up here, is retrieving all of the appointments or all the availability of 10 different support people. Okay, so that's why it's taking a bit. But when it once it retrieves them all, then a person will be able to click on a day and select any appointment that is convenient for them. I'm just going to toggle here, go to this. Okay, so you can see here we're later in the afternoon, so we're running out of availability. But if I click here, unlike my personal one, I get, oh, let me try a day next week. Normally it will show me everyone's availability. Okay, let's go back to today then. Okay, so what it would normally do if I selected this is I check this before the webinars, but obviously some appointments have been booked, is that would show all the people on the team in that department that are available. I can then select this and then I'll engage a second feature that is part of the advanced calendar. And you see up here the charge. So when I go into this, this will automatically schedule the appointment and queue up the its ability to actually collect payment for a billable service. Okay. Now there's two ways that you can do it. One, you can have check a particular group in your database for people that may have a prepaid plan, but you can also have COD payments as well. Okay. So you can see here's the fee. They enter in the details, and when you enter in this information and click on continue, it will prompt you to complete your payment information via PayPal. So that's one of the bigger differences between the standard version of calendar that every single user gets, okay, with the first tier of Act Advantage, and the advanced tier of calendar that every person gets with the Pro and Ultimate tier. Okay, so the two big feature differences are that you get group calendars, you get the ability to send meeting reminders, and then charge for appointments. Okay, so let's go back to additional features, and now let's go to interactive quotes. Okay, I'm going to drill into interactive quotes. There is nothing here. There's nothing under the dashboard. There's nothing under reports. There's nothing under templates because all of this is empty non-production data. However, if I go over to quotes here, I can see all of my data here. These are my personal quotes. I've got them filtered here for that and open. And then I can click on here. This will show me all of the quotes that are all the quote activity. So it shows this one's accepted. These ones here, all the green ones represent accepted. You can see the values here. And, then finally, with the advanced here, you can actually see a reporting section. So I can actually see the different sales results from the different sales reps. So I can see that Sylvia is leading the way, followed by Shannon, followed by myself, and then finally Victor. Okay, so I get all of this. So this is a tremendously powerful quoting system that you can do. Now, if I go into here, okay, and I click on this is what a quote would look like. You can see I can add in banners, I can add in line items, I can discount items as you can see here. I can put in images. I can even put in videos so people can literally get commercials of the product within it. Okay, but the best part is, now this one's expired, but the best part is that they can accept it online on their mobile device, on their computers or anything, and then proceed to pay for it right then and there. Now, the payment option is limited to the advanced features, okay? But if you go back to this, you're going to get all of this functionality under quotes. Activity dashboards is all included. with the standard tier, and every single user in ActAdvantage Standard gets both link to calendar and link to quotes. Okay, you do not get the reports feature. That is a team edition only option, so you will not get that. And then you're going to notice things like, we'll go to the emails. You can have an entire library of emails that you can send on the fly. With the standard, you can only work with the default one. Okay, with team, you can select a drop down of whatever email cover is appropriate and send it out on the fly. Okay. So this is an incredibly powerful program. If you were to, let me just go to here, go back. If I wanted to create a new quote, I'm going to just work from a template here, and I'm going to say quote for Vic, and I'm going to say ActAdvantage Standard. Okay, now it's recognized that, actually I have to do here, Victor Cron. Okay, and here is my quote. What you're seeing here is an image at the top, and then you're seeing a bundle with several nested items, and then you're seeing a video here. Okay, now I'm just going to click on save. Now that has automatically created an opportunity under Vic's contact record. You can get the details here or change them. Here's a little log, and you can see the activities as it's tracking. But if I want to see the quote, this is what it looks like. Okay, sees my smiling face. All of these, it's automatically set the expiry date to 30 days from today, because that's what I've set up. It shows here all the details. Each one of these things are hyperlinked. Okay, and it shows this little video at the bottom so that the customers can actually watch it inside the quote. Also, you'll notice here that I can send out a quote with a lot more options than the person may actually be interested in. So let's say, hey, you know what? I don't actually need desktop sync. I'm going to go all web, and then the total automatically recalculates. Okay, and then they can accept it. And that is why it's called interactive quotes, because you can select, deselect, you can change the quantities if you configure it such, and that really helps the sales process, because a lot of the times when we worked with a different quoting program, it would force us to force the customer or prospect to contact us reissue the quote, contact us again, us make additional adjustments. And it created a lot of back and forth that we thought was needless. So we've created this interactive quote that allows people to engage with it on their own and save the salespeople time and accelerate the sales process. Okay. So those are the two features that are under the additional features for sales. So now we're going to go into marketing. Okay. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to see that marketing has been restructured. It used to be in 4 tiers. It used to be, first of all, everything was called AMA, and one was called AMA Basic, AMA Select, AMA Complete, and AMA Advanced. Now there's only 3. Okay. The first one is free with AMA Standard. The second one is called Advanced eMarketing. This was previously AMA Select, now it's called Advanced eMarketing. And the third one is actually called Marketing Automation. Now, if you're wondering what the difference is, the third one actually includes previously the third and fourth AMA tiers, because we found that the only reason that people went to the advanced tier of AMA was to get the extra sends. Well, we've already built in the ability to top up sends, so there's no point in creating a tier that was largely purchased for that reason. Okay, so with the standard eMarketing, you get 2,500 emails, you get the template editor, you get the mobile and desktop preview, you get the marketing calendar, drip marketing, so not just one-offs, but you can send a string, visual workflow designer, basic campaign metrics, deliverability and compliance tools, so you will always be in compliance with the CAN-SPAM Act of 2003. But it also includes, as of a couple of months ago, automatic list sync. Okay, so that actually allows you to have some built-in automation. So you can create a group that says, let's say, new customers to my database. So have ID status customer, create date, maybe in the last week, and everyone that gets dynamically added to that can be sent out a welcome email or a series of welcome emails. And that's called automatic list sync, and that's available free. Now, the advanced eMarketing, which previously was called Marketing Automation Select, and I think a lot of people were kind of intimidated by what seemed to be unnecessary complexity. We've rebranded Act eMarketing to really reflect how people are going to use it. So response-driven nurture marketing, that's just a fancy way of saying, I'm going to send out an email, and if they click on a particular link or if they engage with that email in a particular way, I'm going to trigger another action to happen. Okay, another outbound action to happen. So I'll send them another email if they click on one particular link. So that's what that means. Obviously, 10 times the sends, landing pages and surveys, advanced HTML editor. Not a lot of people use that, but it's useful for importing. Outbound workflow. That basically means all of the workflow that I talked about with the nurture marketing is strictly outbound from the database out. It doesn't, trigger sales actions back into the database, which we call inbound workflow. And then real-time campaign metrics. And the final one, we're actually branding marketing automation, okay, because of the advanced features in it. 50,000 emails per month, so double this. Inbound CRM workflow. So that means if someone clicks on a particular link, you can schedule a follow-up. So if I send out a marketing campaign and someone clicks on, say, a trial button or that, I can actually create a follow-up for one of my salespeople to call that person. Okay, add them to a group, whichever. But that's the inbound workflow. That's where you really connect marketing with sales. Okay, so that's why we call that marketing automation. And then advanced lead capture and surveys, lead management and scoring, website tracking and analytics, and A and B testing. So we pivot over here and click on marketing. We can see we've got all the campaign lists that we did before, the email templates that we did before. Okay, select would include the landing page options. I've got nothing here configured in this demo, but then the web page or the web activities and the assets, these are things that I can configure when I get the full automation. Okay, don't have time to get into the details of this, but website activity allows you to put a little tracker inside your own website, and it will track all the visitors, the sources, and things like that. I get a report every single morning, emailed to me. I find it quite useful. Okay, and then assets, if anyone has ever clicked on a video or a PDF on a website and it's like, hey, great, this is free, and I get a few seconds, 10 seconds into it, and suddenly it prompts me to enter in my contact information before continuing. That's what an asset is. Okay, that's available on the top. Okay, so let's return to the additional features options. Okay, surveys. I'm going to keep this simple because surveys, one is pretty self-evident. We can click on here. We can see where we can create a new one, create drip emails, submissions, but let's actually go back here and I'll show you a survey that we've done in the past. Victor, how are we doing with the chat questions? I think I may have muted you. Never mind. Slack me if there's any questions, okay? Okay, so here's all the surveys that we've sent in the past, okay? I'm going to show you a e-marketing survey that I created. So I gave it a name. Here's the custom URL. So here's the questions. The first one I'll expand. Here's the contact fields that I select. It's a survey. I don't want to make people jump through a lot of hoops. So I generally keep it to contact and email. And then here is my questions. Here's an image. Here's some of my questions. And what I've done is I've built in what's called skip logic. So if someone answers no to the first question, okay, then I don't want to ask them questions 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just going to take them right to the 7th page. That's called skip logic, because why make people answer a bunch of questions that their previous answers have already made pretty much irrelevant? So let's take a look at what this survey will look like. So this is the sandbox mode that you can test. And you could say, do you use eMarketing to promote your products or services? I'm going to say no, just to show you how the skip logic works. Okay, brings me to the last question. Please let us know if you have any questions. Thanks for your time. Now, if I go back and I change my answer to yes, it takes me to the second one, and so on and so forth. So that's how it builds it, and it keeps all the questions relevant. Now, what's also important is that it builds in, you can build in little triggers, so that, let's say someone indicates that they're using a paid tier, or sorry, a third-party product. If they select that, then I can actually trigger that to create a follow-up call. Again, I'm going to pick on Vic, a follow-up call for Vic, so that, because that to me is a lead opportunity. If they're paying someone else for something that isn't integrated, then I can probably beat them on price and integration, and I want Vic to call up and make that pitch. So that's where it can become not only a lead generator, but a lead trigger. Okay. Now, like all the products, when the person entered in their name and email, if it recognized it, it linked the results to the contact record. If it didn't recognize it, it created a new contact. Okay. So that's that. Let's go back to page, and let's go back to the additional features. So next, web leads. There is not a whole lot that, there's every single person that's ever been on the internet has been exposed to one kind of web form or another. If we click on here, you can see some of the branding from before is still there, whereas you didn't see it in quotes and calendar because we've already reskinned those. But you can see that there's no data here. There's no list of forms. But if I go over here and I click on link to forms, I've got tons and tons of forms. Now, if I go here and let's just pick, where's the COPA? You know what? I've got tons of this. Let's just type in a search. Okay, so COPA stands for Keystroke Orange Peel Awards. It's our annual awards to the staff. The results are not only harvested in this form, but let me show you what it looks like. Okay, I'm just going to go to, okay, so what I did is I used drop-down menus. I asked questions, who's the top support person, who's the eager beaver, who's the top developer, top admin person, and it harvested all the data, ranked it, and displayed it in a very, very intuitive way. Okay, now if I wanted to see it, just the KPIs, the list, I've got them all here, and I can export that. But this is really the heart of it. This is what I want to see my forms present the data in a way that makes sense. Now, if I want to go down, let's go down to the very bottom. Okay, get more form. And I'll actually just show you what this will look like. This is a standard form. Now, when you see this, this is a transparency. So this is meant to integrate into the website seamlessly. And I'll show you an example of that. Scroll down to the bottom. Okay, 1 second. Okay. See here, this is integrated into it. This is called an embedded HTML or iframe. I've set it in here. I've set the transparency so that it will blend into any environment. Okay. Can't really I don't want to get into what it will look like, but I'll show you what the code for that form will look like. If I go in here, the get more form, I can either present that as a button so that people click on the button and the form will pop up, or I can actually just take this and say copy code and insert it into an iframe, whether you're using WordPress or Joomla or anything like that. And then that iframe will expand to include, to take up whatever space your layout has provided. So let me give you an example. If I go up here and I go to link to forms, I could present forms in a number of different ways. I can present them as full screen embedded forms. Now in this case, I can ask a lot more information if I was, say, posting a job, okay? And then I can have questions that have drop-down menus. The benefit of the drop-down menus is obviously you structure the results a lot better, and that way you can get those very clear reported results that are broken down in a very uniform way. Okay, you can set things like when you'd like to purchase, create the drop down for that. You can also create it so that you can overwrite it, okay, if you don't want to put in that particular answer. And the last thing is here, just a memo field. You can have a little checkbox, select I'm not a robot, and then submit. And then, as I've said before, if this information under the contact fields is not recognized, it will create a new contact. If it is recognized, it will create or if it is recognized, it will link it to the existing one. And then here is the difference between the top tier of forms and the bottom tier. The top tier will allow you to actually trigger additional drip email campaigns out to them, whereas the other one is, just going to include, just add them to the database and create a triggered follow-up. Okay. Now, what I didn't mention with surveys, because surveys doesn't have a big difference between the tiers other than this. With the standard tier, you are assigned one account of surveys, and in this case, also one account of forms. Okay. Whereas with link to calendar and link to quotes, every single user got one. Okay. So it wasn't just a tier difference between the basic and team editions. It was also that everyone got one. Now, with link to forms, there are feature differences. Okay. With this, let's say you put a quote request form on your website. Click here for a quote request, and they fill in that information. Well, with the advanced or the team tier of link to forms, you can actually create an opportunity so that it fuels your pipeline directly from your website. So that's very good lead generation, not just for harvesting leads, but actually tracking them and adding them to your pipeline. Okay. But only one per account for the standard tier. And then every single user gets access to the advanced version of forms, just like with surveys, for the top two tiers, which are professional and ultimate. Okay, I apologize if I'm talking about tiers too much, because there's tiers within Linktivity, tiers within eMarketing, and tiers within Act Advantage. I just don't know how else to express it. Okay, now the next one is, if we go back here, additional features. Okay, we talk about events. Well, this is kind of fun because we're all here because of you guys responding to the events. So here is a list of all of the events that I've got. I'm going to go here. You can see there's a whole lot of nothing here, but under this, you can see all of the events. Now take a look at, here's the Act Advantage webinar. I can immediately see I'm the author. I created this, the record manager of this. We have 116 people that registered. Okay, you guys are all familiar with what the screen looked like. It's now closed, so people can't register for it anymore. I can generate the link here. I can copy the short URL. For privacy purposes, I'm not going to click on the submissions. Okay, but if I go into edit it, you can actually see what went in to creating the form that 116 people signed up for. So let's just give a minute. Now I've got a submissions button number here. That gives me a list of all the submissions for all the events that I've got going on, and then I can filter by the event. So here is where I gave it a name, set a time. Now when I set the time, it automatically creates that activity in Act. And what's really cool, okay, because I actually made a mistake with this and I sent out an email to quite a few people that registered early, we set this to 3 o'clock. when in fact we put down here 1 o'clock and all our marketing said 1 o'clock, but for whatever reason I put 3 o'clock here. Thankfully, one of our customers pointed that out. I changed it from 3 o'clock to 1 o'clock, and it automatically synced with Act and moved the activity to 1 o'clock in Act. Okay, after I changed it in here. So that kind of two-way synchronization is always going on. Now you can see here a sign-up fee. This is a really cool feature. If you make your living off of these kinds of events, like fee-based events, whether it's webinars or things like that, you can actually charge people so they pay as they're registering. Okay. That we typically do these for free, but this is something, if you're in a different kind of industry, you can charge for these events, and that's only available in the team tier. Okay, but this is the information I set up, how long it would be. I created a group where everyone that registered went into. I described it. I added in the photo, and then I put in the upcoming events just in case people want to see other events. But here's the key. I put the event location. Now, this is where we get to the secret value of link to events. You guys are all signed up to a meeting service. Now, a meeting service, we use GoToMeeting. Other people use Zoom. A meeting service will run you about $20 a month. A webinar service, regardless of whether you're using GoToWebinar, a Zoom webinar features, or Adobe or anything else, they tend to run 5 to 10 times as much per month. Okay, so what's the difference? Well, there's a number of differences. One, if I'm creating a meeting, I don't have a sign up page. I simply distribute the join link and those people show up. Except I didn't know how many people were going to show up. So we created a sign up page, and then when people signed up, they were then given the join link. So the join link wasn't distributed until they actually registered. So what that does is it actually bridges a lot of the feature gaps, including reminders, which you guys all got, additional follow-ups, which you guys are going to get. It bridges a lot of the features between the meeting service and the much more expensive webinar service for basically free. Okay, now included with Act Advantage. So you can spend $20 on a meeting service and get all the functionality of a webinar service. So if that's something that you use or consider using for promoting products and services, that is going to be a huge time saver. But here's the key. Even if you spend 5 to 10 times as much on the Zoom webinar services or the GoToMeeting or the GoToWebinar services, that still doesn't integrate the results into Act. It still doesn't add the contacts to Act. It still doesn't organize them and segment them into groups. Only Link to Events does that. So not only are you saving a ton of money, okay, you're getting a powerful feature that will save you time and effort, okay, and drum up a really, really good attendance, but it's actually doing more than the more expensive service. Okay. So the next thing, let's go to home here, go back here, we'll go to additional services. Now the next one is a little bit more obscure, and it's called the link shortener. Now, we use this a fair bit because we used to subscribe to a service called Bitly. Now, if you publish on social media a lot, you know that if you use services like LinkedIn or Facebook, it will actually take a long URL and strip it out. So you can talk about some event you're promoting or a blog you're promoting, and then have the Facebook or LinkedIn strip it out, and suddenly people don't even know what the call to action is. So what this does is, I'm actually going to show you how easy this is. Within Linktivity, it's called Link to Shrink. And here is all the shrinks that we've used, and basically shortening a URL. Now, I can take something like my Link to Forms page here, and I say, I'm going to add this to social media, and I'm going to promote this page. And I've got these options. Now, Act Advantage has different domains, and I'm going to call this link to forms just to make sure it's unique. I'm going to give it a category, and I'm going to say Linktivity product page, and I can give it a description, and boom. That's it. So now I have a friendly URL, okay, where if I go over to this here and I click on, boom, link2.fm/link to forms, it automatically goes to my link to forms page. So yes, it's easier, it's safer to use on social media. It's more human friendly. People can actually remember it. But there's a couple of other things. One, it's also useful for tracking. So if you want to use a particular URL in one social media page and then use another one to for another social media page, you can actually track which is getting the better results. Okay. So let me just go back here, save and close. Okay. You see here, I can see here my newsletter, I got 165 clicks. And if I go into the results, I can see, okay, Chrome was used to consume a lot of them. Okay, here is, I can see all the devices. I can see unknown, found it through keystroke, found it through Facebook, found it through keystroke again, and then link to. So this is a my link to FM. Okay, so this I can actually track 2.9%. But in this case, 137 probably just came from the email distribution where we sent it out to customers. Okay, so this, it's not just human friendly, it's also referral friendly for tracking purposes. Okay. The next one is list verification. And what we found is that a lot of people were very hesitant to send out, to engage in the marketing automation. Not only did they find it perhaps more complex than their humble needs, is that they also were afraid to go to market with a list that was perhaps suspect. When you consider that 15 to 25% of list decay on an annual basis, it doesn't take long, especially after the pandemic, when a lot of people change jobs, to have that kind of churn in your list. Okay. Now, what you can do, I'm just going to show you what a scan looks like, because this is pretty easy. Now, if we go here and we click on additional features and we go into email list verification, you're not going to see anything. Okay. But the process is fairly straightforward. I basically click here, new, I give it a name. This is a test for Vic. Okay, I then select the group. It automatically reads the groups within my within the database. I can either search for it or I can just select it from the list. And then I can select its scan mode. How am I going to scan them? Well, if I've already scanned them, I probably only want to process the unverified contacts, which means that the email status field that this program creates in your database, if there's a value there, it's going to skip over it, so I'm not paying for it twice, or process all of it because maybe I want to do one spring cleaning every year, regardless, just to verify that the emails that were valid last year are valid this year. Okay, and then verify. This is automatically. I can actually schedule to do it. Daily, weekly, monthly. Might be useful if you create a new contact list. So every single new contact that gets added to your database, you can schedule a scan on a weekly basis to make sure that all your new contacts are valid emails. Okay, and then you just click on save and run. And what's going to happen is you're going to get, if you click on here, you're going to get a list like this, okay? And it's going to scan every single one of them. Now, what does this do for you? Well, if you've got, say, 5,000 emails to send out, you can scan this list 2 to 3 contacts per second. So basically, easily within an hour or so, you can have your entire list scanned, updated, and you can do things like your campaigns will only include records where the email address status says valid, okay, or accept all. Or you can create a blacklist group that says, add an exclusion to every single AMA campaign. If it says invalid or if it says error, then don't add them, take them out of the campaigns. So that is one of the tricks that I recommend because it actually saves people a fair bit of time. I've got a sales rep named Sylvia that is happy to hear that I also created the French contacts as a blacklist because I have a terrible history of emailing English emails to French customers. So I've done that to make her happy and her complain to me less. Okay. So that's how simple it is. It scans your database inside of ACT. This is included free. The feature is included free within all tiers of Act Advantage. The difference is what you can scan monthly. Standard includes 250 contacts for free every single month. The professional includes 2,500, and the ultimate includes 5,000. Now, if you think about what the AMA sends, you've probably already picked up a pattern. It's 10% of each. So 250 represents 10% of the 2,500 sends included in the standard tier. 2,500 includes 10% of the advanced eMarketing sends, okay, which is 25,000. And then finally, 5,000 is 10% of the 50,000 included in the ultimate tier. Okay. So we're zooming along. Let's go to chat. This is something that I'm going to show you just briefly because it's difficult to replicate at this point. But chat, if you go here, if you go to my website, you can click on here. I can click on support. I can type in my email address, and I'm going to type in Ken Quigley, Ken at keystroke.ca, and test for Karthik. Okay, so when I click on here, you notice that I selected support. So that allows me to isolate the support channels to just the support people. So if I'm not in support, if James and Victor aren't in support, then they're not going to get an alarm for a chat request for something that doesn't relate to them. So I'm going to click on this, and I have a new chat request at the top. Okay, now you can see here it says submitted a I submitted a chat request. Ken Quigley join the conversation. Now this is confusing because it's obviously me in both cases, and I can start the chat here. I can say, okay, test question, and I get these little alerts. I don't know if you guys can hear the audio. Here's another test question. Okay, now what you've seen here is it has now found my record. An existing contact for Ken Quigley is found in the ACT database, and it has linked this to it. Okay, so that any of the chat information, the logs, the follow-ups, and everything is now going to be linked to that existing one. Okay, now the purpose of this is obviously the people that are visiting your site are going to be one of two things. They're going to be customers or they're going to be prospects. The customers you're going to have in your database, the prospects you may or may not. So why leave anything to chance? This adds them to the database, and it will actually give you the ability to create follow-ups. So let's say here, I want to create, I can write the transcript to history. I can download the transcript. I can email the transcript to the participants. Okay. I can schedule a follow-up. Okay. And then I can also send them a survey. But let's say that I actually want to end the chat here. Let's see what happens on this end. Okay. Look what happens. Without even a prompt, would you like to record this to the history? Yes. Do I want to email the chat to the content? Sure. Or contact. Do I want to schedule a follow-up? Yes. They were talking about something for sales. I'm going to get Vic to follow up. And do I want to send a customer satisfaction survey? This allows me to actually send a form from my forms program over to them to capture their survey, their satisfaction. Okay. So this is how it's all integrated. I think this is actually one of the cooler features in it, and you can see that we use it in production. Okay, this is included free with the all three tiers. Here is the distinction, because this is involving with the standard, you get one license, which means that you can use it for one website and one employee and no departments. Okay, the tier that is included with the professional and ultimate includes a chat license for every single user. Okay, it also allows you to have multiple websites and multiple departments like you saw with mine. So if I click on leave chat, okay, you can see that I can select admin, janitorial, obviously put in to be fictitious, sales, and support. Okay, so I can drill into each one of them. Vic, remind me to remove janitorial from the production copy. Obviously, I made that change for demo purposes and left it in there. Okay, so we're zooming along. We've got chat covered. The last thing under the additional features is the customer portal. Okay, now if I click on here, I'm just going to get the screen that enables me to, create a portal. But we got like 10, 20 minutes left. I'm not going to create a portal. I'm going to show you one that's already in existence. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to go to portal. Okay. I'm going to click the Ken's demo. Okay, and now I'm going to click on, this is the demo of the portal. I can't show you guys all the features. I just want to give you guys a sense of what it is you're getting. So I've created this portal. So what is a customer portal? A customer portal is something that you can add to your site, put in the top header, log in here as you see with some of the bigger companies, and people can log in 24 hours a day and update their information, retrieve information. Now think about it. For us, our customers can log in, check their subscription information, check their support contracts, download information, book appointments, things like that. Let's actually see what that looks like in production. Okay. Obviously, this isn't a production copy, so I'm going to click on and now I've got a portal. I can look at my contact information. Now imagine if you are you're an insurance broker, a mortgage broker, financial advisor, and you're managing all this customer information. And this is onerous, right? Like this is onerous to constantly be getting updates. What if you gave them the ability to update their own information? So I can now click on modify and log in. And it's like, oh yeah, I don't want to use this info. I want to change it to a different email address, or yeah, I want to put in my preferred marketing is newsletter. Thanks. Okay. I'm going to change this to a different email. I'm not going to do that because it's linked to our production database, but I can change the phone number. Okay. Add in birth date, change the birth date. So people can actually add in. Now, it doesn't have to be anything there. They can actually add in from what was a blank. But this allows them to modify and update their own contact records. Okay. Now, if I go back to the homepage, let's say I was a mortgage client. I can click on here and actually see what mortgage details are. Now, what this is, it's reading from my custom tables that I've got for mortgages. If you look here, you can see mortgages here. Okay, so I've got my custom tables here. This is actually reading my mortgage table and showing me what my mortgage is. Okay, this could be warranties, this could be support contracts, this could be tickets, this could be insurance policies or investments, anything like that. And this is how you can create a 24-hour customer portal. Now, when we built ours, okay, we built ours, go to cam.kqc.ca. We built ours. I'm not going to worry about this. It cost me probably $10,000 to $15,000 to get ready to read from our database to live information and all of that. And this was custom made, and that's typically the going price. And one of the headaches that people have when they create a customer portal is, where is the data coming from? Okay, it's fine to say, well, it's going to come from my ERP or it's going to come from my my CRM, but typically it involves syncing with your website data source. This actually, through the web API, reads your database directly. So you have your data source immediately, and now this allows you to build a front end that your customers can log into. They can manage their own passwords, do everything, and retrieve it at any time. Okay. Okay, so you'll notice here with additional features, we have now gone through appointments, interactive quotes, online surveys, web forms, online event management, URL shorteners, email list verifications, websites, chats, and the customer portal. Okay. Let's talk about let me make sure. Let's talk now, migrate over to the productivity. Remember I said sales, marketing, and productivity. Here's sales, marketing. I've lumped these two things together. I put website into marketing and customer portal into productivity. Now let's get into the accounting, okay? So we did not provide the accounting integration. Accounting integration was another product that was purchased by ACT and added in. So you can see here, when you first use it, and by the way, accounting is included free with both the top two tiers, professional and ultimate. It's not available in the standard tier. So you click on get started. Now this indicates I've already got all my information done. So the first thing is it creates new custom tables in your database and about 69 fields. This takes about 5 minutes. So just be mindful of that and don't do it during production hours. Otherwise you'll kick the other users out of your database. The second is to connect to QuickBooks Online, not QuickBooks Desktop. Okay, QuickBooks Online, because QuickBooks Desktop won't have an API that you can connect to. So then, or it's also available for Xero. And then you can say new customer creation is on. This is a feature that you can disable if you're a business owner and you don't want people writing to the your accounting data file. You can turn this off. And then step 3 is to set the automatic refresh. Okay, so it's refreshing all the time. Now I've already gone through the steps, so I'm just going to go to contacts, and you're going to see my information here. And if I click on accounting link, you can see a monthly sales summary. Now I just linked this to a sandbox item, so there wasn't anything in the recent, but you can see how it's presented. You can see aged receivables, and then you can see the historical information. In this case, it had a record from April 17th, 2022. Okay, so having this information at your disposal really gives you the ability to understand your contacts as customers, because if I see if I'm calling this person up and he's complaining about something, I click on this and I see a lot of transactions representing a high value customer. At the risk of sounding cynical, of course my approach is going to be different. As much as we want to say we treat everyone the same, there are certain practical realities that isn't always the case. So this allows you to really understand in one quick click the value that they are to your customer or to your company. The other thing is, because I listed this under productivity, this saves you not only time and adds insights, but it also saves you the trouble of toggling back and forth between your accounting program and your CRM. Okay, not just toggling back and forth, but looking them up in each. This gives you one snapshot under one contact and only the relevant information. Okay, now a couple of things to be mindful of. This information is only visible in the web. Okay, if you have Act Premium Cloud or Act Advantage with Act Advantage with Desktop Sync, this is available only in the web interface. There is not a UI for accounting integration in the desktop client. So be mindful of that. Okay, and then also you can't create transactions. This downloads transactions. So this is really for review. You cannot write to the accounting file. Now, what you can do is you can click on here and say link update customer. So let's say that you wanted to update. Now I linked this to a bogus client. If I wanted to update my act, it would read all the information from QuickBooks and update this. I'm not going to do this because this is a demo database, but it would overwrite all of this information to align it with my my QuickBooks Online. Okay, think that is it. Vic, how are we doing with questions? Let's see. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Vic. Okay, now let's talk about some of the other productivity features. Now, if you haven't used Act Premium Cloud in a while, you're immediately going to notice that this is a much more modern view of or presentation of the program. Act has been around for 38 years. It invented CRM. Now that is both a plus and a minus. Obviously, we've got a wealth of experience more than anyone else, but also that creates certain legacy features that don't look as modern as others. ACT has really made an effort to modernize the UI, and this latest look has been introduced in the last couple of weeks. It's obviously optimizing the space along the nav bar here, where contacts, companies, and groups are presented, within one pane. Okay, same thing here, which makes perfect sense. Calendars and task lists. Okay. And then we saw this and we saw the accounting. So that's the thing. One of the things that I wanted to show you as an efficiency feature, and this is something that has been a long complaint for desktop clients, is the ability to click to dial. Click to dial is, obviously this was added in December, but click to dial functionality adds speed, accuracy, and proper call logging to any ACT user. So here is a case where you'll see this is now hyperlinked. Okay, now instead of trying to dial out to a specific software provider, what it does is it makes calls to the application and it says, hey, what's your default communication device? And then it will invoke that to dial the call. It will also, and this was a feature, this feature was added in December. I think in February, it added the automatic history recording. So let's take a look here. You can see down here, this is my soft phone. I'm going to click here. It automatically pops up the history, dials the phone number, boom. Now I can click save and I automatically have a history for that event. This is not a timer. This is just a time-saving event to present you so that you can record this as a history. So in this case, I might put, say, call attempted because I didn't do anything else. And then boom, it's recorded the history. So if I go to history, there it is, call attempted. Okay, so you notice all I did was click on here. It invoked the dialer, it invoked the history recording option, and now previously I would have had to type in the number, invoke the history, do several steps. So this is a nice productivity improvement. And one of the other things that it's done is it's added the ACT Mobile. Now this is something that was just updated and rebranded. It was previously called ACT Premium Cloud Mobile. Obviously ACT Premium Cloud has given way to ACT Advantage, so now it's called ACT Mobile. So let's take a look here at some of the features. You've got comprehensive contact management. So this is the interface. You've got your detailed views that include, and this is, if you haven't checked recently, they add features to this every other week or every month. So there's a lot to catch up on. So all notes and histories and opportunities for the contacts are listed under here. Okay, and in recent weeks, I think it's in the last 2 weeks, they've added support for the company table, added support for swiping actions for list views, swiping a contact to list, reveal hidden, delete options in the bottom line, added layout editors, so you can actually customize the layout, which allows you to add custom fields, which previously didn't exist. Okay, and then they updated the time selectors to use 5-minute increments. Scrolling and selecting times is much easier. So now we click on here. You can, we just talked about invoking a call. You can click on any of the phone numbers listed under the detail view. It will automatically trigger the device to call and record the history. Okay, immediate view of your daily, weekly, or monthly calendar. Opportunities at a glance, so you can drill down to any one of them, check the dashboard for your summary results, and then you get the proximity search where you can actually view customers within a particular range of wherever you are. Okay. The last point that I wanted to cover before going to the commercial details is one of the pain points of ACT Premium Cloud, now ACT Advantage, was the mail merge feature. One of the things that people didn't quite understand is that Office 365 and Gmail switched from supporting basic authentication to a authentication method called open auth or open authentication. There is all kinds of implications for that, and open authentication is supported in a number of different ways within marketing automation and within ACT, but the standard mail merge feature never got updated. Well, I'm happy to say that next month we expect a completely overhauled mail merge feature to be added here. So you can click on Write, Mail Merge, and actually be able to support Gmail sending and Office 365 sending. So that is a nice and if I don't mind saying, overdue feature that's going to be added. So that I'm putting under the productivity features. Okay. Now, before we move to the final part of the presentation, and we're 6 minutes after, so I'm guessing we're going to be about 10 minutes late, or maybe 15 minutes late. We're going to go to the, going back here to the additional features. Now, if you look at all of these features, okay, so a lot of the people, I'm going to assume that a lot of people on this call, they're either Act Pro customers or they're Act Premium customers, and they have had, because of the absence of a web API with either one of them, they've had to cobble together a lot of the features that you see here, okay, with third-party services. So maybe they were using eMarketing through Constant Contact or MailChimp, or maybe they were using for a mobile app, they were using Handheld Contact or Companion Link, or they were using Calendly for online calendar publishing, or SurveyMonkey, okay, or list verifications like Bright Verify or ZeroBounce.net, or they were paying for the webinar services or third-party tools on their website to integrate the forms, but still didn't talk to their database. All of these things have a cost associated with them. Now with Act Advantage, these are all under one pane of glass and all included for the price. Okay, now there's different entitlements at different tiers, and that's what we're going to get into next. Okay, so let's go to the Act Advantage page. Now again, if you need to find the Act Advantage page after this, just click on Act CRM and Act Advantage is here. Okay. Now here is the a video that we made. It's about 80 seconds in length. You can watch that. Here is how we've divided it up. Remember I said sales, marketing, and productivity. Our campaign is calling it Get More Leads, Get More Deals, Get More Done. Okay, and you can see how we divided up all these tiers. Now I'm going to come back to this because this is where the trial link is. So if you're on Act Pro or Act Premium and you want to get a trial link, just click on here. It will take you to the trial and you can start kicking the tires yourself. Okay, we've got a cool little Act infographic we're kind of proud of, and it just kind of toggles around. It's a little GIF. You can show this kind of artistically presents all the different component parts of Act Advantage. But I'm going to return to this calculate your cost, and I'm going to scroll down. Now, what you're going to see here, I'm not going to drill down super deep into this because I'm going to leave you guys to review this separately. But you can expand this and say get more leads. You're going to see online appointments, web forms, website chat service, online surveys, so on and so forth. And you can see the different entitlements and all the details of each of the tiers. Okay, you can see the eMarketing 2,500, 25,000, 5,000, list verification 250, 2,500 and 5,000. Then you can see Get More Deals, which are sales features like quoting, accounting integration, online appointment setting, and event management. The reason I put in event management is because you can charge for an event. So anything that generates revenue, okay, and actually collects the revenue should be considered a sales tool. And then the Get More Done. Now, I haven't shown you product management, which is a feature that we expect to be added in the next 3 to 4 weeks, because that was part of Linktivity, but it was a very different architected program, and it did not scale with Act Premium Cloud or Act Advantage the way that the other programs did. So we had to do a fair bit of refactoring, and that process is ongoing. Okay, task automation, mobile app, shared contacts list, seamless, and then you see customer portal where it's not available flat out, $100 per month here, and then you'll see the it's included free. You see project management, not available, included free, included free. Accounting integration, not available, included free, included free. Okay, here are some of the upgrade options. You can go through all of this. You can see the biggest thing is CRM storage, 15, 25, and 30, 35. Custom tables cost $10 like it does right now. $5 at this tier, included free. Hands-on technical support, $10, $5 free. SMS integration, same thing across the board. Additional send domains, and then desktop send, same across all of them. Okay, but let's get into the commercial details of these. You've seen the general descriptions. I'm now going to click the flipper and we can see what's included. So you see the full featured SaaS CRM included in all of them. Mobile app included all of them, 15 gigs, online appointment setting, integrated web form surveys, blah, 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 full web API support, no portal and projects eligibility, nightly backup and maintenance, standard support. And then APC, a lot of these now 25,000 email sends, an extra 10 gigs of storage. You'll see here you now see that all of these features are available for all users as opposed to one per account. You now see project management, accounting integration, customer service portal is available, but it's a $100 a month upgrade. It's not even available for any price here. And then you see 50% discount on custom tables and Orange Care. Then the last thing under Ultimate, 50,000 sends, an additional 10 gigs on top of the 25. All of the advanced features that you saw there, project management, accounting, but now you're seeing portal included free. You're seeing custom or hands-on customer service, and you're seeing custom tables included free. So each of those things, if you think about it, if you're looking at, click on here, prices, $30, $45, and $60. Take a look at this, $60. So let's say you're starting off at $30, but you had Orange Care and you had custom tables. Well, those two things added a la carte bring you up to $50. So you're pretty much there. Okay, so why would you, not want to have the benefit of all the advanced tier features for every single user for an extra $10 per month? So here's the thing. Here's where we get into the trick. Okay, is that which tier is right for you really depends on the composition of your account. How many users do you have? Which eMarketing service do you need, and including monthly sends and features? What's the storage requirements for your database? As I said, are you using custom tables? Are you using Orange Care? And then the free additional features and the free upgrades. So, things like web forms and surveys and quotes and calendar. Do you need those top tier services within it, or are you fine with the basic features of all of them? And then the last thing is the tier exclusive features, things like portal, project management, accounting integration. So let's see and the number of users is a big factor, okay? Because whenever you increase a user cost, then the number of users is going to dictate whether or not it makes more sense to purchase the upgrades per user or purchase the upgrades a la carte per account. So with that, we've created the calculate your ACT advantage cost. So this is a calculator. You just click on that button and you can literally see how this is highlighted? By default, it said one user, no Windows clients, no custom tables, enhanced support, standard eMarketing, 2,500 sends, no marketing automation. These are all free, so it doesn't really matter what you select, but it's nice if you want to kind of provide a complete quote. And then here's some of the additional tier exclusive. And then here's your storage. So let's just see. I'm going to say, I'm going to add just marketing automation. Okay, take a look at that. I've added marketing automation because for here, if I want to add marketing automation, that's close to $200 per month. Okay, $200 per month, adding it to this tier or adding it to this tier. That's incredibly expensive. But take a look at this. I get it for $60. So if I'm a single user, this is a no-brainer. Okay, and if I want to, let's make this a little simpler. Let's just say I want to go up to 17,000 sends. Look what's automatically, this is highlighted. Okay, this makes the most sense. And you can scroll up and down, this will float here for you. Let's take an example here. So this is a profile, we've added 17,000 sends, so it's automatically said that we need what was previously the select eMarketing tier. We've only got one user, but let's take a look as we add. It's still the best, still the best, still the best. Keeps going. See, the second I get to 8, suddenly this is the better monthly value. Now it's only 1. And if that's the only consideration, and I don't recommend that it should be, but if it's the only consideration, then maybe Act Standard with the $79 upgrade makes more sense for you. Okay. So you can see here, advanced eMarketing, it's dynamically added this in as one time $79. You've got the orange care, you've got this, and you can see across here all the different benefits. Okay, so if I drop it even by 1, this makes more sense. Now, if I do something like, well, you know what, I really like that accounting integration, and I like the customer portal. Well, the customer portal is a big cost driver. So now it's said, take a look. The customer portal would otherwise be with 8 users, okay, $1,000 a month. Well, now it's 420. Now I can go through all kinds of permutations. I can have storage be an implicator as well, okay? And if you select different features, they'll add them as included here. And then what you can do is you can print it off, okay? Or you can contact a sales rep, or you can just click on share and it will create a link that will automatically save all of these selections. Or you can just click on start over. The bottom line is, as you've already seen, there's so many different permutations based on number of users, feature preferences, and things like eMarketing that's going to drive the value of one tier over another. And we've created this feature so that you can calculate the cost yourself. Okay. So Victor, how are we doing? Any questions? Awesome. Okay. Guys, I'm 20 minutes over, 18 minutes over. I don't want to, let me just do a quick check in case Victor can't see. Oh, okay, I see a bunch of questions. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, does it have an exact company name match? The accounting integration, honestly, guys, I would love to tell you that I've had more chance to kick the tires because we have our own. I can tell you about ours, but not about this one. So this is something that you'll have to just experiment with. Can additional questions be set as obligatory for new contacts to cap? Yes. Does the marketing compliance include an opt-out feature? Yes. And in fact, if it doesn't include an opt-out feature, then it won't allow you to send it. Join the Blade, is there going to be a recording of this? Yes. Is this Q-Sales? No. This is Q-Sales is an SDK program, which means it does work with the desktop, but it doesn't work with the web, okay? And Q-Sales is extra. Is Act Advantage completely a keystroke? This is, thank you. It is this is what all the linktivity programs and custom tables were purchased by Act to include into Act Advantage so that they can actually present these in the most economical way. As you might imagine, okay, presenting Act Advantage standard with all these additional free features wouldn't be possible if we still owned them. So they bought all of these things from us to be able to present these things free and with increasing value across the tiers. So that was only possible, okay? And I think that is it. Great questions. Okay, thank you guys. I've taken a lot of your time. We're at 80 minutes. I figured we'd probably be about 15 minutes over, but we're about 20. Covered a lot, 10 different programs, the improvements in Act Premium Cloud. Again, I really want you guys to remember how to find this. Okay, if you go to the top here, Act, Breaking News, Act Advantage, and you scroll down, you'll see each one of these things here try Act Advantage. Get Act Advantage. This allows you to buy it online. I really don't encourage you guys to do that. Please contact one of our sales reps so we can work with you on the cost calculator to make sure that you get the best value. And then here is the calculator. But you can continue to click on any one of these things, drill down a little bit more. Here's the common features to all of them. I encourage you to please go through this comparison chart. I know it's a lot to consume, but I think it's important before making a purchase decision. And then down at the bottom talks about the upgrade options and then frequently asked questions. And then for something just a little bit more, then we've added a bunch of videos per product that we think will be a nice recap for this. Okay. So thank you very much, guys. This has been a long webinar, but I hope it was a useful one as well. I will record this, have our marketing people clean it up a little bit, and you should all get it tomorrow. So thank you very much for your time, and I'll let you get back to your day. Make it a great one.